June 1942. The waters of the Pacific hold their breath. A clash is about to unfold, not just of ships and aircraft, but of codes, cunning, and courage. The Battle of Midway would become the turning point in one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. This is the story of how a few hundred men changed the fate of millions. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, the Empire of Japan seemed unstoppable. Its navy controlled vast swaths of the Pacific. The Philippines had fallen, Wake Island, Singapore, Burma. The rising sun cast a long shadow over the Pacific and Southeast Asia. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, Japan's most brilliant naval strategist, believed a decisive blow would force America to negotiate peace. His plan: attack Midway Island and ambush the U.S. fleet when it rushed to defend it. But Yamamoto didn't know the Americans were already listening. Deep inside a basement in Pearl Harbor, a team of cryptanalysts at Station HYPO, led by Commander Joseph Rochefort, worked day and night to decipher Japanese naval codes. After painstaking effort, they cracked the JN-25 code. When messages referred repeatedly to an objective called AF, Rochefort suspected Midway. To test it, the U.S. sent an unencrypted message from Midway reporting a water shortage. Shortly after, Japanese transmissions confirmed AF is short on water. The trap Yamamoto had laid was now set against him. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commander of the Pacific Fleet, now knew where and when the enemy would strike. He moved quickly, sending 3 carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and the quickly patched-up Yorktown, to ambush the Japanese fleet. It was a gamble. America had only 3 carriers against Japan's 4. If they failed here, Hawaii, and perhaps the entire Pacific, could fall. Meanwhile, Midway's defenders, U.S. Marines, pilots, and sailors braced for thaw. At dawn on June 4th, Japanese bombers roared over Midway. Explosions tore into the island. Hangars burned. Marines fought back with everything they had. In response, U.S. bombers took off from Midway and from the carriers, launching wave after wave of torpedo and dive bombers. But the early attacks were chaotic and uncoordinated. The Japanese fighters, flying from the carriers, shredded American torpedo planes. The skies turned into a slaughterhouse. Nearly every plane was shot down. The attacks seemed in vain. Then, fate intervened. At 10:22 a.m., as the Japanese carriers were rearming and refueling aircraft, U.S. dive bombers from Enterprise and Yorktown appeared through a gap in the clouds. Within 5 minutes, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu were engulfed in flames. It was a moment of perfect timing. With their decks cluttered with bombs and fuel, the Japanese ships were helpless. Fires raged. Explosions ripped through the hulls. The heart of Japan's carrier strike force was go. Only one carrier remained, Hiryu. With desperate resolve, her pilots launched a counterattack, striking the Yorktown and crippling her. But the Americans would not relent. That afternoon, dive bombers located Hiryu and delivered a crushing blow. By nightfall, she too was sinking. In the span of one day, Japan had lost 4 aircraft carriers, hundreds of planes, and many of its finest pilots. Midway was more than a battle. It was a seismic shift in the Pacific War. The U.S. had turned the tide. Japan would never again launch a major offensive in the Pacific. The once invincible Imperial Navy was now on the defensive. The United States, meanwhile, gained momentum. Island by island, the Allies would begin their long, bloody march toward Tokyo. And it all began here. The Battle of Midway was a story of broken codes and brave men, of strategy, sacrifice, and a little luck. The Americans who fought there weren't superheroes. They were ordinary people facing impossible odds. Yet, in the vast emptiness of the Pacific, they showed what courage looks like. Midway was a miracle, one veteran later recalled. A miracle paid for in blood. If you found this video insightful, please like, comment, and subscribe. More incredible stories from history await you.